Welcome to the first episode of the MySeps Q&A. I'm your host, Scott D, and I'm here to answer your questions about color separation. So let's get started. Anthony asks, "Hi Scott, I'm having trouble with separations when trying to cut down screens, and I want to combine colors, like an 8 color, down to 5. So you want to look at your artwork first and kind of decide what your limitations are and what colors can be sacrificed. So for example, can you get that orange color by mixing red and yellow? Can you get that green color by mixing blue and yellow? Do you need the gray in there? Do you need to print the black ink when it's going on a black shirt? So you can sacrifice some things and find ways to go about creating a limited color palette with a very complex design. Also, when selecting color, I'm spending a lot of time cleaning up the selections for picking up pixels and other color spots. Do you have any suggestions?" Yes, the best way to go about doing this is to use a mask. And I talk a lot about making masks in my previous video. I'll leave a link to it right here. Boop. And go ahead and check out that video. It'll explain more about how to use that mask to keep those stray pixels out of your separation. Do you do separations in Illustrator? Please help. Yes, I do separations in Illustrator. If you want to subscribe to the channel, I may be making a video on that very soon. Nav says, "Damn, that's great work. I would love some tips on how you do these. I've tried using color range selection, but the skin tones are not coming out correct. It's layering red over yellow to create the skin tones, which also includes other elements in the photo." So this is pretty similar to the last question. You're just going to use masks again to select the flesh tones away from the red and the yellow. So once you have those selections, you can copy the red and use that as a brown, and you can use the yellow as more of a cream color, and then you would have flesh tones instead of red and yellow mixing to make that. So Matthew says, "What order would you print this in? Would you just let your printer figure that out? And should anything be flashed in the print order? Or just let them keep going and get buildup on the screens? Great video, by the way, liked and subscribed." So for print order, I usually like to keep the brighter, more vibrant colors on top, and then the darker and more muted colors on the bottom. So on the bottom, you'll have the grays and the browns and things like that. And you want the reds and the yellows, the more vibrant colors on top, so that they don't get stepped on as much and picked up off the screen. So that's generally how I set up the separations. I do give a recommended print order every time I do a sep, but the printer is always welcome to arrange that to whatever works best for their shop. Will asks, "Is there any way to adjust the appearance of white ink in Photoshop? It always looks far whiter than it prints." So there's a couple ways to go about doing this. If you double click on the base white channel, you can change the solidity to, let's say, 85%. That'll bring it down a little bit. And then if you want it to be even a little bit more darker, you can change this color down a little bit more grayer. And that will give you a more true representation on screen to what your underbase is going to look like with one pass. Robin asks, "When you started to copy CMYK channels, how did you make the new layer background white?" Okay, so in Photoshop, if you want to make a white background, you're going to go into Channels and click New Channel. Double click Alpha 1. Change this to white background. You're going to make it a spot color, 100% solidity, and then you're going to drag this up to white, and there's your white background. Rob asks, "Why do you choose 20% for all colors except for black, which is 100%? So let's say you're on a navy background and you wanted to have some effect on the text here that's created by the underbase. So if my underbase looks like this with stripes, I have 100% in this area and 0% here. And then I have a solid red area and a solid yellow area. So if I have them together, this is what they look like when they're at 100% solidity. And then if you put the background on and you put the underbase on, you can actually see the effect of the stripes. So you're actually getting a couple different color variations here because of the underbase. So that's because of the 20% solidity. If I made this 100% solidity, that effect goes away. So what's happening is it's showing what it would look like because it has a certain percentage of underbase underneath it. Now black doesn't matter what solidity it is. If that was 20%, it has no effect because there's no underbase under the black. So it doesn't make a difference what percentage the black is. So I just leave that at a default 100%. And then I change the colors to 20%. And that gives me a more true representation of what it's going to look like. John says, I think I'm missing something. Does the raster images have dots in them? Also, can you print out files from Illustrator directly if you don't have Accurate? Thanks for the video. So by default, no. Halftones do not have halftone dots automatically included in them. If you want halftone dots, you're going to either have to use RIP software or manually make them on your own. So I'll show you real quick how to make them on your own if you don't have RIP software. So let's say we have this gradient here, the blue gradient, and this is how it normally would look. So to get it to be a halftone, you're going to copy it to a new file. Okay. Then you're going to go to Image Mode Bitmap. Flatten layers, yes. You're going to change it to halftone screen here. You're going to set your frequency, angle, and shape. You're going to click OK. Then you're going to change it to grayscale. Click OK. Then copy and paste it back into your channel, and you have your halftone dots. D Toto asks, are you Scott Fresner? No, I'm not Scott Fresner. I'm Scott D from MySeps. I'm out of here.